So hi everybody, welcome to Non-duality with me, Dawn Garland, the Philadelphia Association. So I'll start with a brief introduction to Non-duality. So there is no one. Basically, that's the message, that what you take to be your individual life, your existence, your things you've got to do, place you've got to go, all of that is just a story. And what is the story? The story is the mind, basically, which is composed of the past and the future. And that is what is seen through in this. So it is seen that there is nothing happening. There never was and there never will be. So there's not even this moment, but nevertheless we speak in linear terms. I'm just about to say that it's just what's unfolding, which is just so not non-dual. Okay, so so there's no one in here and there's no one out there. There's just this oneness, and the oneness is love. Essentially, this is love. It's unconditional. You know, it can be seen, it can be experienced. It's what you are essentially. It's not an identity. It's beyond all identity. So this is the end of that identity, and yet life continues with, it's all paradoxical, so problems arise, problems fall away, but at the same time there's nothing and everything. So nothing is just the absolute void. There are no objects, there are no people, there's nothing, and yet all this wonderful and awful and terrible and beautiful phenomena kind of arises. And there's and it's seen in its kind of innocence, which is beautiful. So it's unconditional beauty in a sense. It's just seen. It's just seen, and to see it is almost to feel it, almost to experience it, because it is love, and that is what love is, and so everything in a sense is perfect, and the perfection is seen, and it's not perfection and imperfection, it's just perfection. It needs no explanation when it's seen, so it's beyond the opposites, all these terms like beauty, love, you know, the sacred, they are seen as essentially foundational. They are what is real, you know, beyond all the projections of mind and the experience of life that seems to be my life, until it was seen that it was never owned, that there was no one to ever own it, and that is experienced as very nice. Pretty much very nice. But not to say that life is always very nice. Sometimes it can be quite horrible. So, but it's not lived from that. You know, there's always the peace in the background. Or even maybe not say, you can say there's an okayness, because if something's there, it's kind of meant to be there, and I think to a certain extent we can all see that. Like, but I'm not going to speak for everyone. I'll be careful, because some people have it really rough. So yeah, and I think I'm going to take my coat off now, because actually it's getting a rather... So. Go off the top. So anyway, that was a very short introduction, so I could go on and on. Well, I don't know about on and on. Looks like a question. No, it doesn't. No, it's just a smile. Yeah, so the awakening itself can... Does anybody have any questions? Do you want me
Are you going to the disco later?
Am I going to the disco?
Yeah. It looks like it.
Oh right, my top looks like a glitter ball, does it? Okay. No, not this evening.
It's Friday night.
Are you going to the disco?
No, well, if you want to go, we can go.
Not, well, I'm not going if you're not going. I can
No,
obviously.
Non-duality disco.
No, I'm going on my own. Any real questions? Real and unreal?
I did have a question.
Okay.
Kind of relates to, you know, the world being, you know, there can be, you know, of course, about happiness and suffering. And from your state of consciousness, if you were to see, because I notice myself, I can be judgmental if I view someone as, you know, negative or, you know, whatever, or, you know, if they're very violent or, you know, emotionally abusive, etc. But let's just say if you were out in public and you saw, you know, someone attacking someone else, what would that experience be with you? Would there still be that oneness and that love? And would there be any judgment in your mind?
Well, judgment's got nothing to do with that. I mean, judgment continues, doesn't it? I mean, it's just natural. That's what the human organism does. We judge. I mean, so there's the oneness, and what is occurring, what's arising in that moment is like a judgment. Like, you know, could be whatever you're experiencing. Could be fear. Could be anger. Could be empathy for who's being abused. You know. You might be in a freeze response because you know there's that bystander apathy, isn't there? Very often, you're like, oh my god, I'm seeing something, and I want to walk on by, or not, like. So yeah, I mean, judgment's innocent. We all do it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That just arises, and some of it you might take seriously, some of it you won't. You know, it's just. What's wrong with judgment? Why did you have a problem with it? I mean, it's a sort of... I know there's so many spiritual ideas around this as well, like judgment shouldn't be there, or particularly in religion, isn't there? Like gossip is such a bad thing, whereas actually it's quite fun. You know, not to say it can't, you know, sometimes it could have consequences, whatever, but like, we're just... human. It's not about trying to be perfect, or because actually it's about being yourself, and that's part of who you are in that moment that judgment arises. It's just, you know, it's just what you're thinking, what you're feeling in that moment, and what's wrong with that. It's not like it shouldn't be there, and you know, I mean, it's nice when people have empathy and all the rest of it, of course, but we have so much. I mean, it depends what you know, and there's difference between thinking. I mean, judgment is innocent in that sense because it's just thinking. You know, maybe in the Bible it says, you know, you think of adultery, therefore you've committed it, and you know, like this shit. But actually, there's a big gulf between thinking something and acting it out. If it's, you know, entirely negative or whatever, or you know, I don't know if that's answer your question. Keep on judging. It will happen anyway, and if you try to fight that, you'll be judging yourself for judging. And
yeah, so one of it is probably I'm resisting when I judge. There's some resistance and causes suffering. But then there is the other part, maybe of, you know, Jack, of wanting to, you know, be loving and having spiritual ideals. Maybe it's two different things. Maybe being loving is maybe one thing. Letting go of identification with form is another thing, maybe. Well,
being loving is a really wonderful quality. I'm not saying, you know, it's a bit abstract actually to even come out with that, like, but like spiritual ideals, there's the danger then if you have those that you're going to project those onto someone and be enthralled to some person, or like, because nobody embodies that. I mean, there's no one who who actually is that, who doesn't possess the judgment, or the characters, character defenses can fall away, but the character very often in its essence is the same. So if you've got certain neurosis can fall away if there's someone, I think anyway, if someone is intensely narcissistic, it's likely they're going to be the same. If someone is doormat, that's probably might partially fall away, it might fall away just, but it could be there just the same as well. So it doesn't necessarily blow that whole original kind of constellation apart. It doesn't remake you, in that sense. I don't see that, and I don't see why it should necessarily. Be kind of good if it did, be quite handy, but we still go on struggling with, that's why they talk about spiritual bypass, don't they? Because people talk about this and, they're not going to bring their personal stuff into the room, I'm not going to tell them, I might, you never know. But that's usually reserved for, I mean, that's the thing that perpetuates it as well, because it's someone sitting at the front and not going to bring their personal stuff. You don't get to know them, so I don't know. But maybe you're thinking of something specific like spiritual ideals. I don't know what you're thinking of. So.
Just, I can't remember the question. There's just someone says here, Dawn's experience of if she were to see something maybe unpleasant.
Oh yeah, I mean, your reactions shift over time as well, just like anybody else's. So as you develop and you grow, just changes, doesn't it? So. It's not about that, the only thing that changes is your experience is the formless. I mean, that's the essence of this. So there's no one here, it doesn't feel like there's anyone here, I know that there's no one here, and there's no one there. So there's just this kind of boundlessness and boundless love, if you like. But that doesn't mean it embraces everything, but within that there's judgment, there could be rejection, you're not going to embrace something that's unpleasant, it's just what's arising, it's not about that necessarily, but there is that intimacy with all things, and so, which is the nice part of this. So. You might think, well, who's there to have intimacy with anyone? But it's it's just no one, and it's all intimate. Because that division is gone, the collapse of whatever it was, the illusion.
Is it like no judgment? Like when you were talking then, I just got a sort of picture of talking to a horse, say. Mm-hmm. So if there's no judgment, horses or animals can be just as annoying as a person, or someone that can, or something that can bring up something. So in a way it seems like all beings are there for one to in a way like embrace, or use them, not use them, but, or they become a being that challenges you, say, maybe. I don't know.
I'm not sure what your question is, like, animals can be annoying.
Yes, so it will be, you know, you could see, couldn't you, a cat or a kitten or something, and you can see human traits in them and sort of realise, gosh, they're doing something that is triggering something, just like my sister might do, or something. So,
And like the weather,
or the weather,
storm, tornado, hailstorm, something like that. Yeah, no, of course we're influenced by everything around us. Like, so, I mean, because I mean, the character lives in time and space, in the timeless, in the spaceless, and in a sense, you know, that's how we make sense of things. It has lost its reality to it, you know, it's not the same because it's seen at the same time that there's none of that, there's absolutely none of that, but yeah, of course, there's this interaction with the environment, of course, what's around you and hooks in you, and animals, of course, are very in the moment, aren't they, so, but they can't reflect on their experience.
Can be in the moment. It's not necessarily that sometimes we think there's more to them than there's not, and there's not, and they're actually quite full on, but we're maybe blocking rather than understanding.
Well, I don't want to speak for the animal.
No, exactly.
I don't want to do that, but yeah, you know, because also that there's, as we did understand it, like there's no mind there's nothing to separate them from this moment, in a sense, because like you see with the dog, it's alive all the time, it doesn't tend to hold grudges, or, you know, it's very, dogs are quite loving, aren't they, unless they're traumatized. Of course there's dog trauma, I suppose, it get very complex if you go right into it, can't it? Maybe that's a question for someone else. Interested in. But yeah, it's different. Like the way a baby is born, and it's born into innocence, it's born into oneness. And again, of course, it's reacting to the environment, but there's no lack of differentiation there. It's just doesn't know that there's, you know, that that tiny form is it. It's got no concept of that as separate from the mother or whatever. Like, it's no sense of identity whatsoever until it's trained out of that, and, you know, then thoughts internalized and the image is kind of internalized too, so it becomes a little me. Which is the end of its kind of ecstasy in a way. And a lot of people who wake up, they remember that as well. They have some sort of memory of that oneness that they came into. It seems that it can extend beyond actually the beginnings, the formation of the ego, which is, I think, 18 months, something like that. So, you know, I've heard people describe it like dark cloud coming in, suddenly the whole world collapsing, becoming very small, and I remember the emptiness of childhood, or just the vividness and the silence. And I have no idea when it stopped, but it apparently stops in the story of time, and then there's the struggle. Horrible things like school. Shit like that.
Yeah, it seems nothing kills wisdom quite like education.
Beautifully put. Yeah. Yeah, and inspiration and all of it really, isn't it? Because for me anyway, the books I read in school were just dead. No, I'm sure they've been better. I discover them elsewhere, but hi. You're back. Come on, you must have some questions. Come on.
So tell us about your awakening. I'm sure you know. Sorry,
Well, what would you like to know? Like what?
How was it? How long did it last? And did you have to hold on to it, or was it like it's something that's there forever that you can kind of put your arm out and feel, or is it, you know, what was it like? Was it just the falling away of everything that was, you know, all your kind of ego and beliefs, and or was it like, I mean, what is an awakening? What is it really? Is it tangible, or is it, or you just suddenly realise I've been awakened and I've just been asleep at the same time? Or something like, or I'm awake and asleep, or when I'm asleep I'm awake, you know. Is my dream when I'm awake, or is it, where's reality? Where's the boundaries? Are there any boundaries, or is there anything that's tangible?
That's quite, I mean, in one sense it's just like, well there were two sort of stages, if you like, because there was the seeing of emptiness, but I didn't know what that was, so it was just, my experience was there was no one here, and I thought that must be pathological because I'd not read Non-duality, so
Right.
I didn't understand what was going on, and there was a sort of sense of non-attachment, so nothing clung to me. My kind of desires for hedonistic pleasures, metaphysical desire, the crazy kind of looking for experiences thing dropped away. It just felt like going through the motions of life, neither up nor down, a kind of flattening, almost like a flattening but not flat, kind of okay. But so it was that the seeing of love was much more intense. Like it was just the mind was completely blown in it, so there was just what was happening, but it was seeing the sacred, so seeing everything for the first time. It happened in a restaurant in Fulham, in West London. I was sat at the table, there was a tree outside, and seeing a tree for the first time was breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. So I could just see everything was happening by itself, seeing of nothing and everything, and I didn't know how to eat because I'd never eaten before, so I didn't know how to chew. I had a glass of champagne in one hand and fork in the other, and I didn't know what to do. Well, I did actually kind of know what to do with the champagne, but I've had more problems with it. And but it was so, the bliss was so thick. I'd had the bliss for kind of like a week, and but it was just love, and it was so beyond words, like, because my then partner was sat opposite me, and I could just see his mouth and he was talking away, and it was just kind of like, there's nothing, like language is just so small and this is just so vast and huge and beautiful. So it was kind of like, yeah, I could see that he was trying to, this is very important, I've got to tell you that none of this was important, that it, you know, that it was just love, and nothing is actually important, nothing really matters, like it's all, you know, it's just words, it can't touch this, like it's just, you know, they're not to be compared. So it was, yeah, totally beyond the mind. Never went back. It was very, very intense for the first couple of years, maybe 3 years, like no thought, very blissed out pretty much perpetually, which, you know, in some ways was good, in some ways bad, like, but yeah, but everything, like a glass on a table, a bowl, a windowsill, just the stillness and everything was just endlessly fulfilling. Like just contemplating anything was just, you know, now life just goes on, and you know, moments where I'll sit and I'll just be absorbed in that, and sometimes just life, you know, like, but yeah, I know it, once it's gone, it's very different from a glimpse. I think I had something like a glimpse many years before that, and there was a sort of seeing imperfection or whatever. I don't know whether the me was, you know, that whole thing about was there or not, but there was this piece that lasted for a couple of weeks, I think, but it was nothing like what happened in 2012, like not on the same scale. It was just so, it was yeah, it felt stepping, I mean, I described it as stepping out of madness because that's what my life had seen, like this desperation, and it was just the peace and all ideas of God, and like, I mean, everything just stripped away. Like it was just there didn't need to be anything. There didn't, back then, like no meaning, no purpose, nothing, nowhere to, like, I think plenty of people said there's nowhere to go, nothing, you know, nowhere to get to. And talking about it, yeah, it's just like, and it's very, like, and I've said this before as well, like it's very hard to remember how it was because you forget, because obviously in the story of time, a lot of time has elapsed and it becomes normal. So the bodily sense has been gone for a long time. That feels normal to me, but initially it was kind of like, because I thought it was like something had gone wrong when I saw the emptiness. I thought, well, people describe no self, but surely that's a psychological thing. This is just, there's nothing here, like there's just nothing there. There's just, and it was just, yeah, I was kind of baffled by that. And I just thought, my sense was to keep quiet about it, like, until I could kind of understand what the hell was going on. And I'm kind of glad I did. And I think I felt some shame around it because I thought, oh no, is this like a psychotic break or something? And, you know, but if you have the fullness, the love, you know that nothing's gone wrong, you know something's gone right, there's no doubt in anyone's mind of that. I think even if you've never heard of non-duality, you know that that's good, and you know it's holy. If you've ever heard the word holy, you'll know it's holy, like, and you'll know it's sacred, and you know.
Did you have a work life before that? Did you kind of live in a normal world without to earn money? Or that fell away, or how did it?
Oh, that's another story.
Okay.
Nothing happened before it. Nothing happened after then. I can't get out of jeopardy. There is no time. I was in a really bad struggle, really bad, and then, you know, then I wasn't. The struggle continued, but there was no one struggling anymore, which is vastly different. Which is not to say struggles cannot pop up out of the blue and grab one, give you a good shake from time to time.
Did it come at a time that made sense to you, with the benefit of hindsight now, when you look at the story and the unfolding of the narrative and the conditions of your life? And does it make sense to you that what occurred would happen then, or did it just come completely out of the blue?
It makes sense to me. I love it in terms of story because because I think I said to you, I'm writing a book about that 5-year period where it kind of ends at that point.
Right.
So I had gone on my hero's journey, or whatever you want to call it, villainess's journey, whatever. And I seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. You know, that, think of that Nietzsche quote, "What that which does not break you makes you stronger," which of course the logic of that flips over at a certain point. So I started falling apart. I found myself like I was so shy, so I just kept confronting stuff and kept confronting stuff, and I began to feel very strong, and then I was going down, and I saw myself go down and go down and go down, and and then couldn't cope, so it was like almost like the end of bottoming out, I suppose. And I love it because it's just, it could only have gone to a really horrible place. It wasn't going anywhere good.
Well, when you had
when you
had control of the wheel, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It was, and it was over in a way anyway, because my life was unlivable and it was unsustainable. I was suicidal. I tried to kill myself 3 times. You know, but every day was like a mini suicide attempt in some way, some subtle way. Like it was just for that period, and then you know, not even a turning around, that no backward glancing, no reflection on it, nothing, just gone, like. You had similar, didn't you? So
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it made the narrative story definitely made sense. It still does. Yeah, that it would. I don't know. It happened once I, you know, looking at it now, it happened once I cleared the decks and made the space for it to happen. You know, once I got in the place of, you know, your question about having a job and you know, responsibilities like that, and I see that. For me, it occurred once all of that was out of the way as well. Once I didn't even have to worry about that, you know. There was this period of space, which kind of looked like free fall, I must admit. But yeah, there was an element of an opportunity of a period of time in which, you know, if I was to pick a most opportune moment for it to happen, then. Yeah, it occurred right then. You know, I made the space, and then once I'd actually kind of put that in place, it took 3 weeks.
Well, so, that kind of makes sense in a way too, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, that's why I said to you, does your story make sense? Because when I look at mine, I'm like, no, you know, of course.
It is when you, like, in a sense it makes sense also when you stop like that, and there isn't much going on too, isn't it? Like, cause you're not busy, and because that's when you drop anyway, when you're not busy, you know, just lying there.
And once there's this opportunity of the consequence of you absolutely dropping fucking completely, that the loss is kind of minimal, right? Because you've already cleared the space, you've cleared the decks, the loss has probably, in the most part, occurred already. Yep. So once you get to a point where actually it doesn't, you know, because I was talking to somebody this week, and they were, I was just talking about life and being, you know, doing coaching and my journey, and I said, you know, I'm studying like a counselling modality where it says that, you know, the client always has the answers, you know, and always kind of knows where to go. And I said, you know, really, we fucking know what's wrong, right? If you really can be really truly honest with yourself and with somebody else, you actually know what it is you need to do. I think we all do.
Maybe we can't join the dots and things. I think that's
right, but I think a lot of that is also kind of, you don't wanna even kind of admit it to yourself, you know. But I think truly deep down, I think we most of us are in a much better position to know what's really wrong and what it is that we really need to do. The problem is it's so fucking drastic, and it comes at such a potential cost of the structure of life that we've built, that you won't even acknowledge it, let alone fucking go there, in the most part.
But you're saying like, I mean, it sounds like you're saying that sort of awakening is a conscious choice, or like, you believe to some extent it is?
To some extent,
okay.
I don't think, I mean, for me, I had no concept there of what awakening really was, or that I was particularly headed for it. And yet, when I look at the decisions, the choices that were made, and yeah, I can see that it almost seems like a logical and natural progression, you know, a natural outcome in a way. But you know, I thought I was heading to potentially Armageddon, or certainly into the heftiest dose of the unknown, since I was I was a small child, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose I always think the sort of danger of that is like, well then when nobody, you know, like looking at the psychological stuff, nobody looks at the psychological stuff if they think that is a conscious choice, because I mean, there can be an openness to that, but you can't, I don't know, I can't see it as you can bring it about, or, I mean, I can see now the things I needed to do, or admit to myself, or to be able to articulate that I wasn't, that was actually going on a psychological level, which is fucking obvious. And looking back, I think it always is, isn't it? It's just like, you knew but you didn't know, and you couldn't have said it, or because you're hiding from, in my case, hiding from my insecurities, and that kind of stuff. And
the insecurities is kind of the thing that's in the middle, right? Because what I'm talking about is the authentic self that's underneath. It knows what it really wants, how it really wants to express itself. It's just so far away from the practiced individual that you've created and are playing as a character in the world. That I think, there's.
Well, I suppose I only use the authentic self for the individual, like as in being in touch with all your emotions, all your thoughts, all your feelings, your desires, expressing those, and just oneness. Because I mean, there's nothing authentic. I mean, I suppose I just wouldn't use that word. I suppose it is authentic in a sense, but in that kind of sense, the sacred is the sacred, or love is love, but it's not human love. Or
I guess maybe like spontaneous, authentic expression then is what I would.
Okay.
I think it goes beyond that level of that which we call the authentic self. It's even beyond that, right? It's just pure, spontaneous.
Oh yeah, it's beyond that for sure.
Freedom, absolute freedom of the being, and or even beyond the being. Just.
But I think you can see this and be inauthentic as shit, like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I kind of was, not massively, but I was sort of in denial of certain things, and suppressing certain, you know, didn't know I was doing that, but I did and I didn't, but yeah, I think a lot of people get those terms mixed up as well, like, don't they, like, you know, self-actualizing or authentic, and they think that that's kind of transcendence, but it's not. It's like, I mean, technically it's the human being finding out what its wants, desires, needs, or, you know, potential feelings. I don't know. I mean, I didn't realize that, because in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I didn't realize he put, you know, from the basic needs to self-actualization, he put a new rung, which was that transcendence. But because I think people get those mixed a bit, like.
Well, transcendence was above self-actualization.
Yeah, it was, but in a way, obviously that doesn't make sense. But I suppose it's just a model, isn't it? Like.
So does it have to be like the makings and the breaking? There has to be a breaking for making. It seems with everybody in this unconditional love and the silence. I mean, that's universal, doesn't it? It's like the makings and the breaking, and then you have the silence and the unconditional love. It's the same for all of us. All of humanity is that, really it.
But what do you mean by the making and the breaking?
The making is in the breaking as in like losing everything that you consider precious, or, you know, everything that you've ever aspired to, like, that all falls away. That just crumbles, you know. It just, like, you lose your, you know, your primal identity, you lose your love, your life, everything that's dear to you. you know, and then you come into this universal consciousness. You see the silence, and then from the silence comes the love. You know, I mean that's what I've seen.
Well, the loss
and unfortunately, it has to be like the breaking. You know, is the makings and the breaking, and completely like having a complete surprise.
Well, the loss is really just the ownership. It's just nobody owns anything, so you don't.
You don't own yourself. Even this. There's no possession of thought. You don't.
No self to own. Yeah, thoughts aren't you. But I mean, at the same time, life goes on. The psychological life may not go on if the mind is blown. You know.
So when you're getting destroyed completely, you're like, fuck, I'm coming to this. I'm waiting for the silence. So like, you know, I mean, it does seem like the makings and the breaking, inevitably.
But there's nothing that's made. It's just.
It's dissolving or.
And there's nothing. I mean, technically speaking, of course, there's nothing broken. But I know what you mean. Like so. Because it was always the case, but that's, you know, just in the sense of which, because from where you're speaking from, I guess, there is a sense of loss of ownership. There is a sense of loss of
identity,
the history, you know, initially a kind of almost like
your career, blah, blah, blah. I think you're.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you can still have aspirations and all afterwards. I think they take a while to come back.
Love, I mean, I guess whatever comes from that. And you've got to trust it. You've got to. I mean, it's probably a loss of everything. It's got an absolute trust in this love.
Well, it's not about trust or not trusting. It's just the case.
Fear.
It is the case. I mean, I wouldn't say trust in it. It's
so
just
you're fearless then. So you just became completely like fearless. You're like.
No, no, not at all. Okay. No, I mean, some people do and some people don't. So something could come up and scare me, for sure. I don't know. Plenty, you know, there's still a central nervous system here.
Yeah.
Some people I've heard that's completely gone. I don't know. Maybe it is in some cases.
So time doesn't exist. You're not worried about the future. Like, okay, am I going
might worry about it. I can worry about the future. It doesn't mean it exists.
Yeah.
But worry arises, like, and then the future's appearing in this moment, like, which doesn't exist either. But so life goes on. It just goes on. But you know, I mean, with you know, there's less of your energy going that direction, like, so that's kind of more background time, you know, which is thought, essentially is thought. So
yeah, time is thought, isn't it? It's pretty much.
But it doesn't mean to say it doesn't matter. Like, if something pretty scary happens, you probably won't live from that, but it can affect you deeply, like it really can, and not at the same time. So it's always paradoxical, this, because there's this okayness that's just a given. It's just there.
That's the thing. Everything that you're describing occurs at the same time as everything that always fucking did, as you know, my life as Bob carries on. The same in some kind of way. But absolutely fucking not on the other hand, you know, it's...
You've got a parallel kind of looking back at yourself and saying, it actually doesn't matter, just watch it, let it go, let it go.
I guess I live in two, in a dual existence now.
Yeah, it's a kind of stepping out of, it's like having, I don't know what death is. I mean, I suddenly thought that death, I don't know, doing some mushrooms the other day. I was thinking that death is the final, you know, it's the final chance you get to love yourself. You're like, okay, fucking, do you love yourself? You know, just love yourself. This is your bad too. This is, you're going to have to go. So I think that is what death is. It's your final chance to say, I love myself.
Did you? Was that your experience when you took the mushrooms?
Well, yeah, I was talking to somebody else who was on another product, and she wants to go to this party, and I was like, you know, I'm not really into going to a big party. I just want to you know, she was looking beautiful, and I was like, she self-sabotages herself very often, and a lot of people do. And I was like, and then it came to me, and I was like, you know, maybe death is really nothing other than your last chance to actually love yourself and accept yourself and forgive yourself, or whatever it takes, you know, that is it.
Well, some people die fighting. I mean, I don't think that's, I don't know what statistics are on it. A lot of people experience peace
Yeah.
And I personally, I don't believe in death. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that that exists. I can't be sure.
You're giving the body away, or
Not even a transformation. I think it's just life continues just as it is. But
another dimension.
Dimension's a way of putting it. Yeah, another kind of experience.
Another kind of experience. Yeah.
It's like
maybe not so physical.
Less bureaucracy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't like quite letting go. Some people, I get a sense after awakening, depends on that character. Like some characters let go easier than others, and I think that continues. So it's not about letting go in a sense. It's just that there's nothing to let go. It never happened. It's not. It's different experience of memory, and if there's trauma in the body, it's in the body.
So memory's time as well, isn't it? Memory is what? It's
memory's time.
Yeah, it's a dream. I mean, it's just. It's as projective as the future. You can. That's fantasy and memory. What's the?
Well, they're both. I mean, it depends how you see it. I mean, I see memory is great. I mean, it's an exciting thing. Like we've got these wonderful stories, like
tangible,
and future can be horrible depends on your character again, and it can be very exciting. Like I mean, it's good because I know like having like no mind states and then normal states, I don't know that I prefer one over the other now. Initially I love just being no mind, just the emptiness, but actually it's quite nice to have thought as well, and to have those speculations about the future, apart from the shit stuff, but even that's quite interesting at times.
Imagine not having fantasy, that would be quite upsetting.
Can you imagine? Yes. I know that would be pretty dull. No, it's nice. Excitement is a kind of suffering too, so there's, it affects our equilibrium, doesn't it? So sometimes something can be too exciting, kind of wish you could dump it down, hence people drink sometimes when they're really excited. So in a way, that's wonderful, when it just happens, there's this kind of that sort of leveling effect where you're not even seeking that, you're not seeking the excitement, you're not seeking the highs and the diversions, but it's a juicy kind of leveling because it's love, so it's just a connection with everything and everyone. It's
no bypass of any kind.
Plenty of spiritual bypass in my there's plenty of that, that's it. But yeah, sure, everybody's got that. Well, maybe not. I mean,
how can you not? How can you not have a bypass?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
It's difficult not to have it. You really try not to have this bypass, which you would have by just trying not to have it.
Well, yeah, that's a neurosis right there. There's conflict. It's like, but yeah, I think Freud said as long as we dream, we're neurotic. There's something unconscious there. Like we're always, Oh, I don't know if it's the case, and I think we've discussed this before. Like, there's a desire to become ever more aware and ever more conscious of our experience and to grow. I don't know that I give a rat's about that initially after awakening for the first while. I think after my second Kundalini awakening, I did, and I wanted to become much more conscious, which I was, because the awakening of Kundalini shed light on a lot of stuff in my life, and so there is that. There's the excitement of seeing more and understanding more, because I just love. Well, I love psychology anyway, just in a kind of basic way, but I don't think that desired growth orientation thing is necessarily got anything to do with non-duality or non-dual seeing, because it's some people have that, some people don't, and it might actually fall away because they might see that as people who go in therapeutic, they go in workshops and they do this, try to solve that, and they're growth orientated. It's the end to all that, but I I know after MDs and stuff, people become very intellectually curious from all the empirical evidence of that. So I think there's a connection. There's definitely a connection between, from all the studies, between Kundalini and NDEs. Not to maybe give a rat's about that either. I don't know.
So you want non-dual inclined. It's kind of, you found non-duality when you had an awakening, or whatever you want to call it.
I found, the subject, I'd heard of it before. I wasn't like an avid seeker, and it was kind of not shortly before the event, so I had been to maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 meetings or something. Something like that. Maybe not as many as that. Maybe it was after, I'm not sure. And it took a long time to understand what had happened, because I wasn't maybe, I mean, I knew it was gone. I mean, it was obvious what had happened, but I couldn't talk about it, and I wasn't reflecting on it, and there was still a sense of smallness, not, you know, from the psychological point of view. I can see in retrospect, may not have been experienced as that, but it was playing out. I would say it was playing out rather than that being a cognitive or even an emotional thing, because there was just bliss, and so there was no sadness, elation, anger, whatever, you know, it was just this, just the bliss. And someone occasionally acting a bit small.
Yeah, there's no kind of technique, like a Kundalini, you could go to like a Kundalini guru and they could work on like some kind of Shakti path or something like that. That would get your Kundalini to release in your system, in your spine.
I don't know. So I mean, some people find things do work with Kundalini. Some people don't. I just find it really mysterious. Like, I think for me, maybe a bit of cortisol in the system. Like sometimes, if something unusual happens, there's too much excitement or too much fear, or something big hits me, it can happen. But yeah, I know someone whose yoga did it for them, and meditation. That's one of the things they tell you to calm down on if your Kundalini gets out of control. Like, calm down on that. Eat more protein, eat more heavy dairy foods, and you know, have hot baths, hot showers, and so everything that dampens you down, you kind of know intuitively what that is. You know, more social interaction and stuff like that. And all the grounding stuff that we kind of know intuitively, don't we? Well, some of us do. It's stuff you don't want to do when you're really, really ungrounded. No.
So the Kundalini, I think they say when it rises to the crown chakra, that's when awakenings happen. I think there was another non-duality teacher, Margie Sue, I think shortly before her awakening, she went to see someone, and it was like a Kundalini release thing, and then she experienced it shortly after there as well.
Well, not everybody experience. I mean, there's a lot of energetic experiences around this, but not necessarily from the base chakra to the Sahasrara chakra or crown chakra. I know, I think Ajashanti had that as well. I didn't have that. I had Kundalini experiences around it, kriyas and, you know, illuminations, all sorts of different things were going on. But, oh yeah, I spontaneously, I was doing weird stuff in the restaurant. I was being turned. Of course I was. But not, yeah, I mean, it doesn't just, I don't know, like it is in the books, it's not like it is in the books. It can be like it is in the books with the energetic stuff, or it can be completely different. You can't universalize the Kundalini stuff. You know, it comes every which way. And every time you try to, I don't know, say it's one way, it'll that can hit you from some way that you least expecting. So, I don't know. But yeah, it could be good fun to try these things. I don't know. Why are you thinking of trying Kundalini yoga?
I've done some of it before. I mean, for me, it's not particularly resonant for me to do now, but it was just sort of just commenting on what he was saying.
Oh, right, okay.
Just a few thoughts. But yeah, it's funny, I think on the path, the seek on the path, for myself, you try so many different things. So it's just part of the thing, you try this for a period and there's some healing, and you try that and there's some healing.
Yeah.
But for myself, I don't necessarily have a goal of awakening in terms of, because I can't control it, I've surrendered it and just do the best I can.
How can you not have a goal of I know you say
You're trying
that.
to sneak up on it, aren't you?
Like you're always after something.
Yeah, there is the kind of the background, the ego again of wanting to be enlightened and awakened. Yeah, it's always there, that pesky ego. Yeah.
But but the ego's fine. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's like anything else. You meet someone, you go on a date, you want to, like, you've always got we have agendas, right? We do, and to pretend that we don't, it's just really, I think that's innocent, because the ego still exists. It's just, that's not where you're living from. Like you said about judgment, well, I know judgment comes up, goals do, you're rooted in the moment, so the goal isn't so important. Technically speaking, the goal could be very important depending on the circumstances as well. Like if it's financial and you're in the shits and maybe there's actually quite a lot resting in it. But you're rooted in the moment, so you're rooted in a better place to deal with it than you would have been. But not to say you could meet someone who's not awake and it'd be just better dealing with that. I don't know, or something. I don't know. It's all paradoxical. But yeah, I like trying to meditate when you're a seeker and telling yourself that you don't want to lie on something. It's such bullshit. At the very least, you want some energetic experience. You want something, or a creative insight, or more peace. I mean, there has to be, because, I mean, for me, after awakening, there was, a lot of time spent just sitting, particularly outdoors. It was May, sunny, but with eyes open. I didn't close my eyes because everything was so beautiful. Why close my eyes? No. But yeah, and I wasn't getting inner light then either, so it was just dark when I closed my eyes. Whereas now it's bright. It's more interesting. But I still prefer to have my eyes open. Sometimes more than others.
So how do you deal with partners? Do you are you kind of universal love, or do you think, okay, I'm with one partner and these are the rules, or there are no rules, as they like? How does everyday living kind of function?
Well, I was thinking initially you meant the partner you have when you wake up. That's
another way. Yeah, well, that could be one way.
That's kind of funny because you've changed and they may not like it, and in my case they didn't.
Just don't put anything that puts bad light on yourself. Not in front of the camera.
Yeah, but that was a funny thing because you realise some of the bonding was around the drama and all that, and that when that fell away from me, the relationship was in days in a way. My then partner kind of liked certain things about it, like the fact I was nicer, but didn't like I think didn't like a lot of it as well, just that because the drive's gone and the peace was there, and you know, didn't have that zany energy I used to have. I'd be just like, kind of, just, yeah, it's different. But relationships are just the same. I mean, what
do the roles fall away, like partner, parent, you know, employee, employer? Does that all just look a bit like it's a facade that I've got to play in the world today?
I don't think I ever really had rules. Like, it never really made sense to me. Did I ever play them? I think I was so terrible at that. Like, I don't think I ever really did that. Like, so no. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I think a lot of change in relating came from the second Kundalini experience, you know, awakening, which is ongoing. So that was 4.5 years ago, in which case I started to be drawn to different kinds of people, and the relationships were naturally different because it's a different kind of alchemical process, different to before. But after awakening, there was a continuation of certain, I mean, my lifestyle had totally changed, but certain things continued. You know, so I don't think there's so much I have to be careful I don't attribute to the awakening, not in my case anyway. Like, so relationships are the same, like, as in the sense of, I don't know, I like relationships, you know. No, I didn't like relationships, so maybe they're not as I pushed people away from me, like, for 10 years anyway. So yeah, in my case there was a loss of the fear of intimacy when I woke up. There was that, because there was nothing to fear from that. There was nothing defended against it. It was just the wholeness. And I couldn't think of anything better, you know, like, to express that with friends, like, not just with a partner, but friends, or, like, you know, just seems crazy looking back on it that we have. I know there's they protect us. We have those there because we were wounded for protection reasons, but you don't need the same protection when this is seen, because it's love, and it seems there's a holding quality in that, and there's a groundedness in it, and sort of something like that.
I think it was the end of my feeling like, just listening to you talking about how you were participated in relationships kind of post-awakening, and yeah, I think it was the end for me of having to protect myself in any way, like my heart.
Yeah.
My heart, you know, it was the end of me having any fear of being hurt in my heart.
Yeah.
Before then, I kind of played that very human game of, you know, fear and of maybe not opening to the full extent, you know, and for fear of overwhelming the other, or of, you know, of me being hurt, and that all just totally fell away over fucking night, you know. I was like, but, you know, my own fear of being hurt fell away, but also I was just like, look, I've only got one fucking volume now, and it's total. So you can deal with it or you can't. Here it is.
I love that.
You know, and that was it. And yeah, there we are. Some people step in and others don't.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because you don't realise how shut down you are and how little you give, and you're weighing things up, and there's, you know, and then it's just, you just kind of be, in that sense it's authentic, you're just kind of being you, and what comes out your mouth is not so, it's not like you oversharing, or, you know, that's all a different matter, but like, you're just speaking from where you're at, like, and it's, yeah, there isn't, there's no guard around that, there really isn't.
Yeah, I mean, like that, you know, the game in society, or you know, the power of those words. I love you, for example, right? You could say, you know, saying that you could fuck up many a relationship, right? And you know, from this day forward, I fucking love you, or you know, the moment I meet you, I love you, and I love you with all of my totality, and I always fucking will. There we are, you know. Again, you can handle that or you can't, but it's not going to change. Don't wake up tomorrow and expect it to be any different. This is just how it is.
Yeah,
you know,
I
have no power and control over that. It's just how it is.
Yeah, no, wow. Probably didn't say that straight away.
So you're giving a half to everybody, you're falling in love. Like every day, or every third day, you're completely madly buying flowers, and you're like, fabulous. That's how it should be.
Because the reality is, in giving it, no one actually takes anything. Again, that's that idea. That idea of separate self says that I have this, and I can lose. Things can be taken.
Exactly.
You know, chunks can be taken out of me.
Yeah. My blow of love, and then your blow of love. Yeah. You know, reciprocation, it's a game.
Well, maybe, you know, on the other side of that, like, in certain cases, I think some people can take away from you, in a sense, like, in a kind of toxic scenario, like, for sure, they can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean, totally. So again, it's kind of paradox. There are situated, but it's context specific.
Yeah, my human might be trapped in, you know, might be playing these, you know, in these games, but the part of me that's my open, being, fucking unconditional heart, it's just.
You don't mind making a fool of yourself. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, my human will hurt, but this part of me will, you know. We can deal with anything. But yeah, the ferocity and the totality of that is in such stark contrast to you know, what went before.
It's funny though, because like every time you speak, like, I suppose if someone speaks from the oneness, which you are, like, and I'm thinking about, you know, because I'm always thinking of the other side of that, you know, and yeah, it is absolutely that, like, that's exactly what you're saying, isn't it? That the humanist can feel like a bit of an idiot, that, you know, or whatever, be vulnerable, but it's all in that invulnerability, that groundedness, that, so in a sense, yes, there is no harm. So Marty Lang said, no harm could be done to a good man. Or was that a quote he quoted? I don't know. Anyway, but
if not, it's a good one. It's yours.
No, it's not. I don't know. It's something to do with him. I don't know. There's pictures on the wall. You think I'm pointing at someone in the audience? Or Artie Lang appearing in a ghost form. Yeah.
So it's an expensive ordeal falling in love consistently. I mean, you've got to really have some serious cash. Be able to afford your heart. You kind of, you know, to wear on your sleeve and say, you know, madly, drastically, hopelessly in love with you. And, you know, like,
why is it expensive?
How can you afford it? You know, you want to, like.
I'm not quite sure, but the language doesn't quite come out like that.
Yeah. But you'd scare the daylights out of most people. You know.
Is that all the flowers?
Well, just flowers would be like, you know.
They're very expensive.
No, we go on holidays and flowers.
Holidays. Flowers and holidays.
Flowers are alright.
Diamond earrings.
So, yeah, wow.
Ferraris.
Holidays, experiences more than products.
What do you mean, experiences?
Like go on holiday, climb a mountain, get a divorce, whatever.
I've never had one of those. I've never even got that before.
But that level of truth, yeah. What I think, what also comes with that is you know, I give you absolutely everything now, but I promise you fucking nothing.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
I can't give you anything outside this present moment.
What do you really mean?
I think it's the most honest.
Fuck, I want to go back to the floors, man. All the days.
But that's where it doesn't go down that two identities. You know, I'm not in love with you.
Yeah.
Love is right here.
That's even worse.
Feel it.
Yeah, but the other person might not be non-dual. For them, it's like, all right, so now you're in love with me. Now you're trying to be happy.
It's impersonal.
I don't think it takes long for that person to notice that you're not following the cues that they are expecting you to follow in terms of building the narrative and building the story and building the identity of us. You know? I think so long as you're honest, that you keep it in the.
Are you right? Okay.
Just about got time that we've got to shoot.
All right. Okay.
Is that all right?
You got any questions before you go?
Interrupt the full flow or whatever.
All right.
Yeah, it's about time we got them. Yeah, is that right? So yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming.
Well,
you're very quiet this time.
Being here, it's really good to actually sort of. It's a nice energy. Really
Oh right. Okay. She had a lot of questions last time. Well, you talked about. I think. Okay, you're not walking on. That's good.
Unconditional love.
Impersonal. I know. Yeah, it's really hard to.
And I think, I mean, and that's the challenge, right? I mean, in that moment where it's like to share that experience with, you know, it's like having mutual hallucinations almost, but to feel, to really be in that love and feel that love, but to resist the temptation to try and grab hold of it. You know, I think that's the opportunity to the other as well. It's like, here it fucking is, right? We're in it. But the moment you try and grab hold of it, the moment you attach a story to it, it's gonna disappear in front of your eyes, you know. It's you kind of kill it by trying to grab hold of it.
I don't know.
Thanks very much indeed.
Yeah, it's nice to see you again.
Thanks everybody. It's really nice to have that genuine sort of input.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
We just think
Enjoy the rest of your night. I don't know, but what do you mean? I mean, grabbing hold of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you try to grab hold of it.
To try to define it. When you say he's trying to define it, put a boundary, like, you belong to me, and you know, yeah.
Yeah, but that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
So
I mean, it doesn't have to be a kind of control. You know, there's controlling shit, right? And then there's you belong to me, I belong to you. I think
that's what love is, you know.
Yeah.
But unconditionally. You belong to me, I belong to you, unconditionally.
Well, it's conditional. If you turn into a complete shit, like, or whatever, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, all that exists as projections, right? That's into time and into the future. Actually, here we are in the present moment, a big, you know, hunker burning love, and that's all there really is. So any idea of betrothal or of how I expect you to behave going forward, it's not fucking relevant right now.
Yeah, I suppose so. I just sort of think it's a beautiful expression of unconditionality as well, just to have that intimacy with someone, right? Isn't it? Because everybody can relate to that aspect, can't they? At least during the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
For some people, last couple of minutes, like or day. Yeah.
I mean, it's to have no limitations on where this might go between you and I, but again, at the same time, to have absolutely no fucking expectations of any kind of conditions you might need to meet, or promises you might need to make me, because here I am. I'm
promises are nice though. I'm a romantic,
right?
Like, you know, and I suppose for me because I was so scared of all that, you know, commitment was like a terror. If anybody wanted to get close to me, it'd be like, you know, run away or something. So, but I think so. All that stuff is, I think, really nice. Promises. I mean,
it's nice. And I guess the paradox is that we're having a human and a divine experience all at the same time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the human wants the narrative, and the promises are very nice for the human, and you know, its desires for safety or the, you know, the potential intoxicating future. But at the same time, there's the divine experience, or the absolute, that is just, you know, the totality of the present fucking
yeah,
moment.
no, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. No.
And if you can get past your human wanting to grab hold of something, I feel like there's more available potentially in the present moment to get everything now. It's almost like an exchange process that goes on. The more I feel like.
Well, loss is different. I think, like, it can be very intense, but then it's gone. There is not, like, you know, or there can be a fear of that in the moment, but it's like, I think it's just, it does not, like, there's no endurance, because you're not living from that. Like, it's different, isn't it? Just because there is ultimately no loss.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
But then I suppose there is memory, like, so if something, because there could be a small regret, you know, you can have regret as well, like, but it's not going to have that weight, right? It's not going to be churning away in you. It could, I suppose, if someone's traumatized. I don't know. I don't want to speak for everyone, really, because people have always done that to me, and it pisses me off. Just like, yeah, it can be really annoying, that context.
I mean, in the linear living of life, loss is inevitable, so, you know.
Yeah, but it doesn't, I still avoid it. I will, you know, like, I mean, the unknown, experiences of the unknown, I mean, it just terrifies me in some cases. I will avoid certain things because of the uncertainty in something, or where there's fear can still act as a huge barrier, like a total barrier at times, like,
yeah.
And yet there's nothing happening. I don't know, like, because I suppose it is, you've got your sympathetic nervous system kicking in. What are you going to do? Your freeze response, you're thinking from fear. I mean, it's not great, is it? Like, you know, we still get cortisol arousal, like, you know, we're still these human organisms. But it's good if you can turn your fear into Kundalini experiences. It kind of feels.
You can turn fear into Kundalini?
It seems to kind of work that way. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I realised there was definitely a correlation between me getting plane flights and having big Kundalini experiences after them, because I was...
You have a fear of flying?
Yeah. It seems to have tempered quite a lot. It's not as bad as it was, but only in the last...
I mean, fear and excitement, I guess, are so similar, right? I mean, in the body.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. But I noticed that, yeah, so... But I think they say that anyway, like... Well, it's Gary Weber who says, when the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system are working together, if I've got this right, it's almost like that creates virtual experiences, which makes sense, the most relaxation and the most arousal, because you sort of think of the awakening itself, it's like so actually awake, really, really wide awake, but the energy is juicy, like sleep, like the most comfortable duvet in the world, you know, it's that kind of intimacy. They don't normally go together, those two states, and they aren't states, but it's...
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when I think about that actual moment of awakening for me, I think on the outside it probably looks beautifully peaceful, which is kind of true, but on the same side, I can remember the absolute fucking chaos that was going on the inside at the same time. You know,
the chaos on the inside, like
just at the overwhelming sense of the moving of energy. You know, tearing apart of everything in a way.
Yeah, I get that. It's weird also when it's reversing, the chaos is outside, inside.
Yeah.
And you're kind of moving through it, and your body's all fucked up, but you're fine. you're not, oh, I'll sleep tomorrow, and shit's coming out your mouth, and whatever. And, like,
There's a lot of energy in my body now.
oh, do you?
Yeah.
Like, where is it?
Around my head.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Does it feel good?
Yeah.
Have you had that before, or?
I think so. I've been trying to be enlightened for decades.
All right, okay, when it's starting.
Most of the misery is gone. Most of the stuff is gone. I mean, one time I was psychotic. I've 7 or 8 years ago, they had me on antipsychotics, but I mean, so
Okay.
I just stopped taking them.
All right,
My
okay.
psychiatrist was I liked her. She was a really nice person. I was told one day I'd halve the medication. She didn't like it, but she didn't do anything. So
Right, lost loads of weight.
yeah,
Probably.
I stopped all of it, and then I'd like to go back to her and thank her, but somehow she'd be trying to get me back on the medication. She's a very nice person, really nice. She really cared about people, but it was just that I had to be on this horrible track.
Yeah, it's a role, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't interact with it. It's just going to go back to what it was.
Well, I stopped taking it for 3 months. I hardly slept, but I knew that was okay.
Oh, right, okay. Did it not drive you crazy? Sleep deprivation is really a nightmare. I hate it. No.
I've been through that the whole of my life, taking weird drugs and staying awake and
Oh, okay.
all kinds of strange therapies and whatever. So
Is the energy still there?
oh yeah.
Is
One thing to wake up is less, but you're right, it's still there. I don't know what enlightenment is. And I've been to so many satsangs and everything. People told me so much. I always pretend to be enlightened, but it'd be a bit silly. I don't know, maybe I can probably convince a few people for a while, but it's a bit silly thing to do.
It's kind of annoying when somebody does that.
Yeah.
Because the language can give it away as well, like, because people take the non-dual sayings literally, and you can't kind of, I don't think you can really fake it, don't you think? Well, you could, maybe you'd have to be very, very good and very subtle. Maybe you could. I'm just sort of thinking of, I don't know.
You just made me think of people in church actually sitting there and talking the Bible talk.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel what they say and what they feel like
Oh yes.
are quite different.
Yeah, maybe. That's not to say that somebody couldn't. I mean, if you're, I suppose, but yeah, the Bible. That used to always baffle me. I used to think, people they really believe this. You know, how do you believe it? How can I not believe what you're? I used to really struggle with it. I was so naive. I was thinking, if they believe, they must believe. They must have this certainty that, you know. But of course they didn't. You can't get certainty from a book. It has to come from.
Yeah. I think it's 2 or 3 people in my childhood. The Christianity, it seemed absolutely real to them.
Right.
Most people seem to be faking it and they're hypocrites and they say you must never get violent, they're very violent people and all that kind of stuff. But 2 or 3 people, they seem to be so much inside it. But they were, but 98% it was garbage. So.
Alright, okay.
I don't know. Those things. But they had a spark. They had the same kind of spark some years later, going to people who said to be enlightened or whatever. But it was wrapped up in being Roman Catholic, so I couldn't.
Oh right, okay, Roman Catholic.
Had to get away from it.
Oh really? I don't know. I was praying last night.
Were you?
Yeah. I do pray sometimes.
What does that look like?
It looks like this.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. What's the point?
Well, sometimes when I pray, it seems like there's an answer. Like, well, since I brought it up, so last night I felt I was in a really dark space for a moment.
Right.
For a moment, I'm making it small, and I prayed, and I went lay down to go to sleep. The light, the inner light was very, very vivid, and I went into kind of another NDE kind of like experience to come back. This energy came into the body that was light, that was fizzing, and I was in another dimension. It was a beautiful experience. There was a tunnel, I went down the tunnel, was by at the end, whatever. I was dead again. It was very intense. I woke up and I felt, well, after I felt very different, very protected, very, you know, because I was facing something, like a real problem as opposed to, you know, so, yeah.
Coming back to the point where you were praying, what was the request? What was the intention? What was it?
Cri de coeur is...
Were you asking for something or...?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's a request for...
Oh yeah. For help. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've prayed since I was... I mean, I stopped praying, I don't know. I prayed as a kid, and then... I love that. There's an intimacy, it's only... There's a certain feeling when I do pray, and it's beautiful. I mean, I don't know, in a sense, it's like I don't have belief or anything, you know, it's just... But when I pray for sleep, sometimes I just, I sort of think that's a bit mean, like praying for sleep. Actually quite a lot. I haven't done it that many times, but I seem to get sleepy and sleep. So, I don't know. So I'm just going to keep on praying. I have to adjust about it. You're not allowed to pray in Non-duality circle. I might edit that bit out. But the heartfelt prayer is an opener for Kundalini anyway. Like, I mean, from the research, I mean, it's like there's association with meditation, but heartfelt prayer is really powerful. Yeah. Which makes sense to me. Like, have you never prayed or like?
I mean, as a kid, and yeah, I wonder about that form of. I mean, yeah. So I was curious to know the nature of the request and actually where you think that request goes and who grants the wish, and it's just you doing your internal process in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean, where does it go anyway when you ask someone for help? Like, and if you've experienced other dimensions as well, like it's. it seems like a natural innate thing for me to do, and that's been maybe since the second Kundalini awakening. I don't know why, but it feels good sometimes to have that intimate talk with no one, in a sense, like, because it's much more secret, and maybe it's different than how I would normally speak. Like, it's an absolute honesty there. Like, there's a nakedness that maybe, like saying about this oneness and being authentic, maybe it's a different kind of way of expressing that. Like, it's actually more, you know, when you're most vulnerable, maybe that you wouldn't necessarily bring to someone, or maybe not want to, or maybe want to wait, like till you process something. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't just come and so I don't know. Anyway, it's
something I found helpful in prayer. I think Ramana Maharshi talks about this as well. Is traditionally when people grow up in religions, when they pray, they're usually praying for something like, I want this or I want that. Then the other form of prayer, which I prefer, is more asking what the divine will is, or what God's will is, and how I can be kind of a surrender type of prayer. So that's what I find helpful. And then one thing I've heard, which I've kind of experienced in my own life, is like praying kind of invokes a higher energy outside of my ego, so I'm praying to something outside of myself. There's been many times where I've prayed and then something has shifted, or just having that faith that I will be kind of helped. But for me, I try not to necessarily just ask for something, but I try to see what essentially what's the higher will in the situation. How can I?
Jag, there's nothing wrong with praying for a new bicycle. I don't know, like, what's a divine will? If you care about that in your arm would need, like, you know, I don't know, I get what you're saying, but actually it's quite nice to pray for what you want as well. To me it's both innocent, like they're the same, like you probably see my prayers as more egoic, because I used to have when I used to pray before the awakening, I was much more, I want to serve you, you know, whatever you want me to do, that was my prayer. And now it's much more, can you help me? You know, it's much more like that. Because I don't feel guilty about it, like I don't feel, you know, like, why not, you know, like, I've never really thought about this before. I'm going to dig myself.
It's a great topic.
I think your question, Bob, I found quite interesting, which was, what was the point? And it made me think of something you said earlier this evening, which was, you kind of know the answer already. Yeah, you were talking about problems or something, getting in the way, but you really know the answer already. So maybe prayer is, you're talking to that part that already knows the answer.
I agree.
But the process is important. And especially if it's answered in some shape or form as well. So I'm not sure if you were saying there's no space for it, or
I guess I was being slightly provocative and curious and playful and poking, but I'm also, you know, I like manifestation, the whole topic of that. I don't get involved in it. I don't critique it. I just don't do it. And yet, so I sit here and I'm like, hang on a minute, she prays. I wonder what comes out of that. Does that should work? Should I be doing it? So yeah, I'm doing my due diligence. I'm finding it out. So it's both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, because when you were talking about praying, and it's I kind of a voice when, you know, when I'm praying, I guess it's on the off chance that I'm currently in my ego state, can the part of me that doesn't exist within that with those kind of confines, come down and fucking sort this out.
Yeah, that's really interesting, yeah. And what you said, Don, about before awakening, you were kind of like, how can I serve you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something, I find that's
an important change of position.
Yeah,
that's the opposite of the way I would imagine it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was here maybe. That's why I experienced it. Yeah.
So my response to awakening was like, I am in service of love.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I didn't see that.
Until the end of time, I am in service of love.
Yeah.
Which seemed authentic at the time, it sounds, I don't know, okay, in the
No,
cold light of Friday evening, 20 to 9, it sounds slightly egotistical maybe, but...
I don't know if I thought that, but there was more, the love that was there, yes, there was more compassion, maybe that played out. I don't know if I was cognizant of that. I could have been cognizant of that, somebody had said that, like you just said it, I never really thought about that before. And yeah, and I don't like it in the sense of it makes it sound like an ego trip again, like a bit slimy, like I'm in the service of love, like fuck, go away from me. You know? Do you know, like I sort of think of Christians or not, some really lovely Christians. I'm not against Christianity or anything, but I sort of think of people who are trying to do good all the time and they're in your face and they don't. Your good is not like their good, and keep your good over there, thank you, and that sort of thing, like in the service of. But I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean. Like organically, that just plays out. Like, but some people, you know, when you look at your life, like if everybody saw every aspect of your life, they wouldn't necessarily say, well, yeah, you're in the service of love, or anybody is. But generally, there's that tone to it, feeling tone to it, or action. But I don't know. Bigger picture, it's not.
Some old churches are really, really beautiful to be in.
Yeah, there's
like whoever put that together, they're awake or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can really drop in a church. You can.
Yeah.
So that's all. Like they say that when they like some of the ones like stained glass windows, or even just a simple church, but there's permission just to sit down as well. Even but just the buildings, stone. There's something about stone I think is really energetic. You know, just the buildings. I used to do quite a lot of sitting. I'd walk around, sit in a bench, walk around a bit more, sit in a church, walk around a bit more, sit in a bench, and sit in a church, sit in a bench, church, sit in a bench. All day long. Do you feel like you're in a church? Well, how's your Kundalini doing? Is it? You seeing any light?
My legs are loosely.
All right, well, okay, good. It's working. It's magic.
Yeah.
I just see prayer as another form of intimacy. I mean,
like that.
I think I pray more now than I ever have done, and I love the experience of it.
Oh, right,
I just
okay.
love the actual experience of praying.
It is very intimate, and yeah, it's beautifully put.
You know, I couldn't. Now, I first for the time I can just enter into that fully. You know.
I couldn't just pray unless I'm in a particular feeling state, though. Like usually, I have to be very, very moved, or something. You know. Otherwise, my heart's not as in it. Like I think so. I like it.
I notice it more like a thirst if I haven't been able to.
Yeah.
If I haven't been able to fully, you know, I'm not talking about the like kind of petitionary prayers or whatever, or ad hoc, but that full immersion I couldn't, to me it's essential to my breath.
Oh, really? Wow. It's really nice to hear that.
What do you feel? Because when I pray, do the surrender prayer, I feel like a devotion. That devotion feels really good.
I mean, it possibly devotion, but the only way I can describe it is the intimacy. There's kind of no. I can't put it in words. So it's really refreshing for me to hear that you talk about these things. Whereas, like with the Kundalini, that was where you joined some dots for me, because my Kundalini was horrible.
Oh,
And
really?
that's because I didn't know, and I didn't even know, I wouldn't have known the word Kundalini then, because it was so long ago.
Whoa.
But it was prolonged, and now I wish I could really have that to experience it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I came here that I thought, oh my God, that's what that was.
Oh God. Right. Okay.
And, you know, part of me thought, oh, should I look into it? Or should I? But I kind of don't need to, but it was really helpful to know that wasn't what I thought it was.
Did you think it was something negative then, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was horrific, and I would never want to experience it like that again.
Is it traumatic to talk about it, or do you want to share any of it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't talk about it.
Okay, fair enough.
now,
Okay.
But I'm just saying it was so helpful for me to hear you describe it, because before I came to your meeting, and someone said Kundalini, I would just say, oh, I've never experienced Kundalini. And now I realise I had 2 years solid of it.
Whoa, it would have been so helpful, yeah, for you to know that, like, it's
it was
awful,
so
isn't it?
long ago, but if I'd have had the word and someone would say it how you did it, so I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, cheers, no, I really appreciate that.
Bit as a jigsaw, it means I don't look back at that time with fear in the way I used to.
Oh, right, okay.
Because if it happened again, I'd have a word for it.
Yeah.
I could, you know, and I could get someone who knew better to kind of guide me a bit if it was to reoccur.
Yeah, sure. And I have no idea what I'd done if I hadn't known. I mean, you need to put it in a context, like, because it's so, some of those symptoms, like, they're so bizarre, and they're so, well, they're just not nothing you experience in the normal day-to-day world, like, and they're not psychotic symptoms, but if you don't know anything else, you might think they are as well, like, so.
Or anyone around you know what that is.
Oh yeah, and they'll pathologise you for sure, absolutely, because it just sounds nuts.
Yeah.
But it sounds so sane. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, loads of people have got this
That's
stuff.
a huge fear that's now gone.
Yeah.
Oh, you had that one as well. Oh God, yeah. No, yeah.
I can imagine the series of labels you're going to put on this you know, fucking not understandable experience that goes on. Right? I can imagine all the different things that you're going to think of, and to just have that kind of deactivated by finding the the context.
I mean, I literally at the time thought there was no escape from that, and
Yeah.
was so relieved when it finally just stopped.
Yeah.
Was your sleep badly affected during it, or?
Everything was affected. My whole ability to live was affected.
Okay, so it was full on. Okay, yeah. It's hard to focus on anything else.
So at some point I might read. I've never read anything about it. The only, has been hearing you talk about it.
All right, okay. Yeah, do you know Bonnie Greenwell writes about it as well? And
After you mentioned that.
Oh, yeah. I like Yvonne Casson too, but she writes about all the different experiences. I don't know what her new book is, but Yvonne Casson.
Okay.
I think that's, if I pronounced it right. She's a doctor. She was I don't know what kind of doctor, and then she's had a number of near-death experiences. But she wrote, like, it's almost, she's grouped it's about all the different experiences, mystical, non-dual, but Kundalini. But it's really good for, like, just pinpointing what you've been through. I've got to get her more recent book. I'm sure there are other.
Ian Kessel.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just like her. I like anybody who seems really real. She just seems like, I don't know. Do you know? I suppose everybody's got their own version of that. If you're really repressed, it'll be something else. Won't it? Like, whatever's real to you. Yeah. But like some of the older stuff's hard to read, like Gopi Krishna, because it's old, and Lisanella, this one you've got, isn't it, as well? I don't know who else is written on it. Plenty of others. Can't remember right now, but
yeah, I wrote the names down like Bonnie Beer and stuff after you mentioned it. Just looked up on the
oh right.
So at least I have a reference point now. I want to.
Yeah, okay. Anyways. I think it was good just to hear that people have that after awakening as well, like it's so different, you know, like or there's more than one type of process, because that made sense to me as well. Just still figuring this stuff out. Not you can conclude anything, can you? Because this stuff is just elusive. Like you can't pin it down. It can seem psychological, non-psychological, both. But definitely none. It's otherworldly. Like to me, it's otherworldly. It's and it's sacred to like the awakening. You can see it's the same energy because that energetic space is the same. Like that shift is that intensity. It's a non-intense intensity or whatever the hell you'd call it. I don't know. Absorption, I suppose, is that. Is your mind stilling?
A little bit.
Is it? Oh, good.
One thoughts going around, but yeah.
Okay. You're dissolving.
I mean, the channel thing I listen to, a lot of what he said I think is nonsense, but he's got something. And he built up a whole thing, it's all the people following him, you're going to be enlightened on that date. And that date passed, and well, something happened to me. I'm not enlightened, but he's just a conjurer, he's doing a trick. Tell thousands of people they're going to get all enlightened at once, and some people, it just doesn't be very good to me. I don't believe in the account of life after death or whatever. I think that's, I don't know. I was around Osho, for years he said there was life after death, and then he stopped.
Did he stop saying that?
Well, one time he was asked about it, he said, well, these are different beliefs, and some people need to believe this, and some people need to believe that. And he told people close to him, all this stuff about life after death is nonsense. That terrified me, after a while. The moment times it doesn't matter anymore. Times it does matter, and I go all the weird thoughts, and other times it's irrelevant. My consciousness is coexistent with everything else, and then I'm back in my head and think I'm separate. But
okay.
Yeah.
Were you involved in the Osho thing? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Alright. How many years? Like.
Oh, about 10, 15 years.
Wow, okay.
I went there, I was incredibly untogether. I managed to get out there for a few weeks, but I mean, if I had money, I spent it. I was totally... It did me a lot of good. I was completely insane at the time. It was,
I fitted around with everybody else, but... Yeah.
Well, I thought I had magical powers. I thought if I was going to deal with the Vietnam War by assassinating several hundred people with my mind power. And
right.
But around the Osho people, I was completely mad, but they just accepted it. Didn't really mind having someone around. Yeah. Times they were very, very sharp with me, other times just accepted. So I gradually.
Well, I have to leave a bit early today, but thanks very much.
Yeah.
I know, nice to see you again. I mean,
yeah.
Avoiding, you have to come now, can make you.
Yeah, will do. Okay.
See you, thanks for coming. Bye.
Yeah.
So we're going to come again.
So when are you booked for next? When's your next?
Oh, I better book it. It's usually the second Friday. Friday of the month, so I'll put it up on Meetup.
Oh, yeah.
So as soon as it's there, and it'll be on my YouTube channel as well. So, but yeah.
Every second Friday of the month.
Every second Friday of the month. I usually do it in the library upstairs, but today I'm doing it here. But yeah, does that suit?
That's
suit
right.
usually?
Was it normally on a Friday? Oh yeah, 7 to 9.
7 to 9, yeah. Might try Saturday at one point, but I'm not usually up in time. Only got 7 minutes. I'll have to sit here, otherwise I'll start feeling abandoned. Feeling like shit. Come here, really. Can't leave early. I like your shoes. I've got new shoes.
Thanks. They also look like they should be going to the disco.
Yeah, they do. Go to the disco. I never really moved on from disco, that was a problem. I was kind of stuck there. Yeah,
I'd like to be more disco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roller boots and
Starlight Express.
glitter ball. A glitter ball top.
Yeah. Roller skating and non-duality roller skating.
The last one was on a Saturday. The last couple of ones I went to was on a Saturday at 5 o'clock in the evening.
5 on a Saturday?
Yeah.
I didn't know. You sure they're open?
Was it
Must be a Friday.
Was it 2 o'clock?
Oh, yeah, it'd be 2 o'clock,
2
2 to 5, I think. That's
Yeah,
kind of
2 to
traditional.
5, yeah. And you say you don't wake up for that.
It's too early.
It's too early.
Might do. I know my sleep's a mess. I have to cut that. I'm just walking around. It's like I just sleep here and I just sleep there. Yeah, so. But you never know. I think that's the Kundalini. I don't know what it is.
So this happened to you when for the first time? When was it? We've got a few minutes.
When was the what? The
Kundalini was, so you had the awakening and then the Kundalini.
No, there was Kundalini first. So there's two different. I had an energetic Kundalini awakening, and that happened a few months before the awakening in 2012. So I was getting kriyas, spontaneous movements, and not much else. Like, I mean, that was for ages, and I was like, I went to the doctor about it. And, nothing more. And then and then it was just kind of sparked off the week before, a couple of weeks, before the actual event. So it wasn't. Then I kept getting the energy stuff, but not really a lot of phenomenon. And then the next one was 4.5 years ago, but it was light, like the inner light's never gone. So, and so it's been much more visual, other dimensions, visual stuff, that kind of thing. But always kind of bliss states, like, because that's kind of part of a Kundalini process anyway. Bliss states, no mind, can be associated with that as well as with awakening. So there's overlap. I mean, it's just the same energy, I think. I think they're finding that a lot of brain studies. Well, there's more brain studies for things like NDEs and Kundalini, and is it brain studies? Am I making that up? Maybe it's the after effects and I don't know. I'm not sure.
Is past life in your realm of experience?
No, I've never had that one. Has anybody?
Had loads of past life memories, but
Have you?
it's very real. I don't know if it was me.
Oh, okay.
There's something.
So what, could be someone else, like, or do you mean the memory itself wasn't real, or do you mean it?
Maybe the memory was real, but there's never like. I don't believe I moved from one body to another.
Okay.
It's just like everyone is trying. Well, not everybody, but people are trying to wake up very slowly. Like in the 60s, if you told somebody you were crying was a healthy thing, most people would assume you were mad or to give you a drug. Today they accept it. So millions of people, a few, well, 2% of humanity, whatever it is, gradually changing. I don't think it's me personally.
Okay.
But I can remember I was burned to the stake, terrified.
Oh, Jesus.
And then it's about, after this guy said we're all woken up, I suddenly realised the experience I had as a child, well, accidentally, I was put in a hospital before I was 2, no contact with anybody. And ever since then, I've been terrified someone would kill me. I suddenly, a few weeks ago, I suddenly realised that and just kind of felt it in my body.
Whoa.
My whole life, I was scared they're going to kill me.
Wow. Okay.
And now suddenly, that's suddenly, it hasn't completely gone, but I'm relaxing.
Oh, that's really cool.
But at the same time, that's somehow, maybe I manufactured the idea of people burning
I get
stake.
okay, I get
and maybe I really tapped into that energy of thousands of people were murdered who were just slightly eccentric. And
I get that, and that's probably quite healthy, isn't it? Because it's kind of unknowable, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway, like.
No, I mean, getting those weird memories, I'm not quite sure it was me or not, but it gave me some angle on things. Someone tried to kill me and I...
Yeah, totally. It legitimizes it, validates it, it makes sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool, and it may well have been true. Like, for all you know, like, so there's that, and it's quite exciting as well, isn't it? And it kind of gives it a kind of cool, rather than a kind of just mental kind of, oh no, I'm afraid of this and it doesn't make any sense or rational.
Yeah, right. Because I'm writing so much, I'm really, well, explorers and scientists and mystics and whatever, who a few hundred years ago had a hell of a time. People like Newton or Galileo.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Newton was incredibly neurotic and not a very nice person. He had to be. He was a genius. He had to be very, very, very careful.
Oh yeah.
If he published the wrong thing, he'd be arrested.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and I suppose they say.
Yeah. Like somebody was identified with all that, everything.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about it all. Well.
You're just doing mathematics and stuff, and you couldn't tell the wrong people.
It's funny, isn't it? Oh, yeah. It's time.
Oh, okay.
Well, thanks for coming. Red button, you know.